talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
For the title of this video, I could not make Thursday rhyme with kiss my ass, so I just left it Thursday. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel, folks, where we talk about shit hitting the fan. And it has. And it has, and it will continue into the future. Not because I want it to, but because Biden wants it to. Because the Democrat Party wants it to. Because Rhino Republicans want it to continue. Because the World Economic Forum, the banking cartel at the international level, mega corporations, they want it to continue. Are you prepared for shit to get worse? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan? I think that's a fair question, considering what is happening every single day. Now, a billionaire donor decided he was going to go and do a TV interview, and he said that he is no longer supporting Harvard University. No more money for Harvard. Harvard loses yet another benefactor. He is calling the students at Harvard whiny snowflakes. I'm sure that caused several of them to be triggered. And they probably felt it was a microaggression. Well, this billionaire and all billionaires and all mighty millionaires, they need to understand who they are, who these snowflakes are. Well, this billionaire, who need not even be named, and others, they are going to possibly be murdered by the whiny snowflakes if Biden and Democrats allow riots to start in 2024 and continue. That's my thoughts on it. Whiny snowflakes. Unbelievable. That's our education system, folks. It produces some of the dumbest people on the planet. You bet. Oh, by the way, a bill was introduced in Congress. Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives. And it was so unanimously supported that only 2 people voted against it. Basically, the bill banned Hamas terrorists. Who would want Hamas terrorists to come to America? Why would we allow them in the first fucking place? Essentially, it's a Republican cowbell. Or, just to ring the bell, make everyone feel like they're doing something. Anyways, 2 people voted against it. Rashida Tlaib, a Palestinian-born American, and also Representative Cori Bush. So Jihad Squad think that, hey, that's just fine. Just fine. Hamas terrorists, not a problem. Yes, it was just a cowbell to ring and make people feel like they're doing some good there. But why would these 2, in front of God and the world, say, I'm not supporting that kind of a bill? You know what's scary about this? Once again, we like to look at things a little differently. What's scary about this is, what if one of the Hamas members shows up on the border and they misidentify them, or they're wearing a disguise? Yeah, it's quite a thought, isn't it? Now, what if they're identified as a Hamas terrorist? Should they be arrested on the spot for trying to enter the country? Should they be turned around and sent away? Folks, we're going to have some fucking questions to answer. Seriously. Some serious questions to answer. Like this. Remember the story I did the other morning, 2 mornings ago, yesterday morning, 0 Dark 30. I talked about the 2 police officers who were trying to get a crowd of illegal immigrants to disperse who then became belligerent, who then decided to start beating the shit out of the cops, left them laying on the ground all fucked up. Well, one of the illegal aliens, right, suspect, he left the court today. He was released without bail. And this little pile of shit flipped the bird, a double bird, at the cameras. Cocky little shit from another country. I have something I need us all to understand. There's a lot of us out here who don't like this kind of shit. There's two things for this illegal slime, so they need to all listen up closely. This is our country, not Biden's. This country isn't owned by the police. We're not owned by Washington, D.C. Right now, to you slime-o illegals, the police will not forget you and will eventually hunt your candy asses down and give you the Rodney King treatment unapologetically. I'm certain of that. And number two, if I happen to see you on the street or any other patriotic American, and you so much as hint at aggression or violence, and children and women are near you, you will probably find your way into a gator pond. So what I want to say about this incident, though, 2 cops beaten into pulp. You like voting Democrat, cops? You like your cop union supporting Democrats? Everyone pays the price. These cops get beaten into the pulp. Into the ground, even kicked in the head. They capture suspects. Suspects are released into the public. No bail, no money, no nothing, just released. Off you go. Illegals have zero respect for this country. They came here illegally. They're being given free shit. They commit acts of violence that should land them in jail for years. Nothing happens. The other illegals are going to take note of this. They have zero respect. They showed up illegally. They're committing crime. No problem. Now, I have to say, folks, I work with legal immigrants who pay taxes and respect this nation and the privilege of being here, as well as respecting me as an American. I pray for sanity. I pray for sanity, folks. There is going to be some huge trouble with all of the bullshit that is going on. Get your questions, your comments, your thoughts down below. A lot of crazy ass things happened today. I mean, get this. Even Snoop Dogg says he may publicly endorse Donald Trump for 2024. He says, I may have to. Now, I have a bigger question. Will the dog's endorsement have bigger consequences than Taylor Swift's endorsement? Are you going to vote differently because of a little brat or a stoned brother? Seriously. Wow. Just freaking wow. I guess that story should go out to the TMZ Entertainment Tonight type people. Oh, man. Where do we go next, man? Okay, let me do this. Now, I'm just going to jump right in the middle of Joe Biden's shit. He is beyond disgusting. He is beyond repulsive. He has zero credibility. He has zero anything. He's a fucking zero. Joe Biden apparently called the Gold Star parents. That is the parents whose son died in the attack the other day on the American base. And Biden, instead of honoring them, said something truly shameful, truly disgusting. He said, this is what Joe Biden, the president, said to the parents who just lost theirs. He said, my son spent a year in Iraq. That's how I lost him. The Gold Star parents had to hear that. It's truly shameful, folks. It's a lie. Joe Biden's son, Beau, died of brain cancer at Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. Joe Biden is not a Gold Star dad. Once again, Joe Biden lies. He is a filthy liar for making that call to those parents about himself, pretending he can understand losing a son or a daughter in a foreign war. And don't forget, just the other day, Karine Jean-Pierre said these 3 servicemen died serving the Biden administration, as if there is more honor serving Biden than serving the United States of America. Now, those American soldiers I will name in honor of their service and sacrifice for the United States of America and for freedom. And they are Sergeant William Jerome Rivers of Carrollton, Georgia, Specialist Kennedy Layden Sanders of Waycross, Georgia, and Specialist Brianna Alexandria Moffett of Savannah, Georgia. May they rest in peace and honor. Amen. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you. These leftists are just wackos. Beyond, folks, understanding. Oh, remember that guy in Pennsylvania? Murdered his own father, cut his head off, put it in a plastic bag, and then went on YouTube with it and was griping about how this is what happens with these snowflakes. They're violent. They're pussies. They're wimps. They're intellectual troglodytes. They're nothing. Yet they have the capacity, ability, and desire to become violent. This guy who beheaded his own father. This wasn't the first time he's had any trouble. Apparently, he was reported to the FBI over 6 months ago. So the FBI is aware of this guy. No way. That's impossible. What are the odds? Say it isn't so. Yep, the FBI seem to know about this guy. Once again, leave this kind of guy alone. Go arrest Christians who are singing hymns outside of an abortion clinic. Wow. Just fucking wow, huh? I'm telling you. It's not going to get better. Thank you, Lad, for the emails today and information. Thank you also goes out to Orlando for the emails and information. And of course, you, Mr. Uman and Kaz, and the R Syndicate. I don't know where to go next. I don't know where to go next. I've got so much crap here. I don't know where to go next. I guess I should just get a dart and start throwing it at the board. How's this one for Lunacy Land? Butt piracy in public is legal in Washington, D.C. So FBI, go ahead and just take your little butt buddies over to the Senate building and poke away. Remember the story a couple weeks ago about the gay guy who was getting butt rammed in the Senate hearing room? Filmed it, ended up on the internet. The U.S. Capitol Police, folks, that's right. The same U.S. Capitol Police that decided they would open fire on peaceful protesters. The same D.C. Capitol Police that decided they would use rubber bullets on unarmed Americans, that they would use gas and chemical agents on unarmed Americans, that they would baton and beat the shit out of unarmed Americans, that they would beat to a pulp, even to murder Roseanne Boyland. American protesters. They'll take people they captured that were at that protest and throw them in jail for years and years and years for protesting. Same DC Capitol Police with the FBI. The same Capitol Police and the same FBI that if you enter into Congress and put your feet on someone's desk, you will get 4 years in prison for that. But go ahead and have gay anal sex right there, and the DC police will say there's no evidence of criminal activity to be found. What planet am I on? What universe is it in which I live? Scotty, beam me up. Unbelievable, folks. Unfucking believable. I agree with you, Chin Music, on your NYPD email you sent me. Thank you very much. Well, let's just have some international history fun. There's this little French man named Napoleon. His lady was Marie Antoinette, and she couldn't give a fuck about the French people, and neither could Napoleon. The people were literally starving in France as they were overtaxed, destroyed. And right, Marie Antoinette said, let them eat cake, meaning let them eat the crust that builds up on the inside of stoves, wood-burning cooking stoves. Well, Emmanuel Macron, leader of France, he is hanging out and having dinner with Swedish royalty, folks. French farmers have been driving their tractors in protest. Same with the Dutch. They've had enough, right? They're having to sleep on the motorway. They're trying to shut down farms, folks, in France, in the Netherlands, all over Europe, around the world. They want to shut down farms. You know what happens? When they shut down farms, we start starving to death. But don't worry, folks. Macron will have the best food. Anyways, in defiance of the new carbon bullshit, which they're trying to use as the justification for killing the farming industry, where the fuck do these people think food comes from? Even these rich, powerful fucksticks, where do they think the food comes from? Do they think their servants go to Whole Foods where Whole Foods makes their food? Anyways, in protest and to flip the fucking bird at Macron and everyone else, the protesting farmers were roasting real meat on carbon-producing fires on the side of the road, wherever they're at. I really liked what the Dutch did a few months ago, which was they brought manure, shit, in their shit trucks, and use their manure spreaders to launch shit at government buildings. I felt that was appropriate, especially since it was bullshit. Definitely bullshit. All the way. Now, let's continue. Let's play Take a Wild Guess. Here we are in the United Kingdom, aka Britain, England. Take a wild guess. Statistics have shown excess deaths are up 22% among children age 1 to age 14 after they get the magic juice. I read that and I thought, I wonder whose creative idea was to call it the magic juice. I mean, I guess I have to admit that's a clever name for it, magic juice, because it was magically supposed to do something. It was supposed to save the world. And then the more of it you take, the more you're supposed to save the world. Only I still don't think I don't think that's an appropriate term. I don't think magic juice does the bad guys justice. It'd be like accusing a murderer of tickling somebody. Folks, I call it the Jim Jones juice. Because in the 1970s, Jim Jones had his religious cult follow him out of America down to French Guiana in South America. He was the leader. People believed him. He was their authority in their lives. And he told them, drink this Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid was laced with poison. Except the death rate wasn't 22%. It was 100%. I call it the Jim Jones juice because it is death juice. It's not just a clever name. Jim Jones was he took advantage of people's kindness. He took advantage of people looking for a savior, looking to the wrong place for leadership, not taking responsibility for themselves, but following someone who claimed to be an authority. That's why I say think for yourselves. Act in your own best interest. Get prepared. I won't be a Jim Jones, folks. I won't tell you go get the juice. I will tell you not to trust government because it is demonstrated, if not every fucking day going back in history to the beginning of time, but just today alone, I think I've demonstrated international, national, and local idiocy from government and how they do not care about anyone. Anyone. If I missed local, let me cover it. In Colorado, a woman was kicked out of public council discussion because she misgendered somebody who is a felon in prison who is trying to get rules passed so they can change their legal name to hide from their criminal past by claiming to be a gender other than that which they are. And there was a very brave Coloradan who stood up, or rather was sitting down, and did not back down, and called the council cowards, because that's what they are. And then she was asked to leave. Well, no, wait. She was asked to leave, and she refused. And she kept fighting them and telling them they're cowards. And that women and children were being harmed by this psychopathic naivete of government. Folks, stand up for yourselves. Stand up for your kids. Stand up for your parents. Get prepared. Because at some point, when government absolutely fails and evil absolutely goes off the rails, you just might want to be a prepper. All right, now this is an important one here. There is the issue, and I mentioned the three servicemen, or one of them was a woman, who died. I'll just call them servicemen. Soldiers, Army soldiers. They died. They were attacked. I believe they were soldiers. They're wearing camouflage. They died. So I want to ask you a question, and it's not an accusation. It's a question. Do you think that you are a hypocrite? Hypocritical? I want to know if, with respect to war, if your line of reasoning is truly logical. I think that, I ask myself that all the time. John, are you a hypocrite? Think about it. So that bombing that occurred there, the Biden administration says Iran supplied the weapons that were used in Jordan to fire at an American base and killed 3 soldiers. So I ask this, should Biden, despite no real solid evidence, according to the reports I saw, there's no 100% solid evidence Iran did that. But should Joe Biden, regardless of that, bomb somewhere or bomb something in Iran as a form of retaliation or to save face? Yes or no? Now, I'm no lover of Tehran, folks, nor its leadership, nor its theocratic bullshit. But I do like Persians as people. And I've never met one that wasn't intelligent and kind. That said, questions need to be asked. Did you say that Biden should bomb Iran? Do you think it's justified because our soldiers were bombed? Now, is there enough evidence? What if the evidence that Iran supplied the bombs to Jordan that were then used to kill American soldiers, if that evidence is rock solid, should we bomb the shit out of Iran? Bombs away, yes or no? Now, if you said yes, then how do we apply that to Russia, Ukraine, and the United States of America? Now, I look at things as best I can. Right? For me, I see the aid and assistance to Ukraine from Washington, D.C. and Joe Biden to be like Iran giving weapons to people in Jordan or anywhere else. I see that the same way. I see a government giving weapons to another country to use against a common foe. Now, Russia is fighting a special military operation, an SMO, in accordance with international law against Ukraine. Washington, D.C. has decided to supply weapons openly, publicly, let everyone know. And those weapons are used in the fight and also used to directly attack Russia inside and outside the conflict zone and in Russian territory outside of Ukraine. Russian military and Russian civilians have been killed using U.S. government-supplied weapons to Ukraine and implemented by the Ukrainian military. And in fact, some American politicians have jumped up and down and screamed it's the best money they ever spent. That would be Lindsey Graham. Now, isn't there a similarity between the U.S. giving Ukraine weapons to attack Washington, D.C.'s enemy, Russia, that they don't like? Isn't that just like Iran supplying weapons that killed our Americans? Is America so good under Biden that it can kill whoever it wants and no one should say anything? Can anyone claim that the U.S. government has the moral superior high ground? I don't fucking think so. Right? Now, can't Russia claim that they are fighting the U.S. government as much as they are fighting the Ukraine Nazi regime? The answer, in my opinion, is yes. In fact, Putin has so much as stated that they are at war with D.C., fighting through the Ukraine Nazis to defeat the U.S. government efforts. Now, let's talk back here about Iran and Biden. If Biden thinks he can bomb Iran for what they supposedly did, supplying weapons to bad guy troops in Jordan, isn't Russia as equally justified in attacking the U.S. government for undoubtedly supplying weapons to kill Russian military and Russian civilians? So I'm no hypocrite on this topic, but there's a lot of fervor to go bomb Iran. But isn't Iran doing exactly what Joe Biden is doing? Giving weapons to another country to kill their enemy. So Iran is giving weapons to another country to kill their enemy. War is hell, and DC better be damn certain of their moral stance. And I say to that, fat chance. Russia, folks, has shown a lot, I have to say, a lot of patience with this fight in Ukraine, knowing that American bombs, American missiles, American rockets, American tanks, American helicopters, American bullets are killing their people. Now, someone could say, John, it needs to be a fair fight. You can't have Russia beating up on little countries. It's a much bigger topic than that. But I'm just curious, yeah. If I were to say bomb Iran, I don't know if I would be a hypocrite as much as I could look at Vladimir Putin and say, that's a pretty smart guy, because he would be just as justified in going after American bases and Americans anywhere on the planet. We live in precarious times, is my point. Precarious times. I listened to a speaker today talk about how military leaders think of nuclear war, and that it's something that they can win and have an advantage of. And what they're doing right now is they are escalating the war efforts. And nuclear exchange could happen. It's a very scary subject, folks, to think. Very scary. And I don't want to see it happen. I don't. Okay, we're getting close to the time. In fact, I've exceeded my time. So let's do this. Let's do the inner circle with you guys. You get to pick. It's time to ask John. Woo! All right, Mr. Man, how are you today, brother? Apparently good. He shot chin music right up there. He says, anyone see the new tax bill that just passed the House with Rhino support? You know, in all honesty and all truth, Mr. Music, I did not see that bill. I don't know. Is it proposed by the Democrats? And Rhinos crossed over to support a Democrat spending bill in a Republican Congress? Someone help me out. I did not see that. Anyone? Man, did you see that? Okay, well, I'm going to have to get some facts and get back to you on that, Mr. Music. Anyways, that would be a shocker. That would be an absolute shocker. Name Redacted said, I was reminded today of a saying that I haven't heard in a while. Silent weapons for a hidden war. Examples: Cerveza bug, the Jim Jones juice, propaganda, Big G, Big Brother, government in general, weaponized grievance groups, be aware. Everything. I pulled into one of my work stops. We'll call it the office. And it was somewhere around 6:30 a.m. earlier this week. I got out of my vehicle. I had my briefcase and my everyday carry with me. And I looked over, and it's dark out still. And I see a guy, a man, cleaning up vegetative debris. There's a windstorm that came through. At 6:30 in the morning, no one else around. In the last 18 months, I have not seen a single human being working that early or earlier. The only people I see at that time of day are homeless. And trust me, I keep a close eye on them just as well. I don't trust anybody. Be aware. I walked past this guy and kept a very close eye on him. Who the fuck is picking up a debris at 6:30 in the morning? No one else is working. City workers, really? Building maintenance is going to show up and pick up debris at 6:30 in the fucking morning? Anyways, this guy kind of looked at me, and I did not trust him for 1 second. I kept my eye on him until I was around the corner, basically 50 yards later. And then I kept an eye out for him and others. I don't trust these fucking people. I don't trust them. Right? Weaponized grievance groups, could have been a government slug. Right? I'm telling you, folks, don't turn your back on them, and definitely look out for these silent weapons. Thank you, Name Redacted, for refreshing everyone's mind with that older term, which is still applicable. All right, let us continue if we can. I want to get to more of what you guys are thinking today. What do we got? Ooman says, hey, saw an article today that said Illinois is sending 300 Army Reserve troops to the Middle East, but don't dare protect our borders. Now, here's the thing, man. We don't need, under normal circumstances, the National Guard, the reserve troops of the nation, to guard our border. We could have a fence built, no problem. It was being built by Trump. A border wall. And it could be patrolled in a number of several ways. You could use surveillance. You could use drones. They could put deterrents on this wall to be deployed. As in, how about this? Drones that drop chemical agents like tear gas in an area if it's being infiltrated by illegals. We don't need that. We don't need the Army there. But the reason that National Guard troops are being used in Texas is because the federal government is failing. But yeah, Illinois wants to send people to not help our country. Fuck that. They're going to send them over to the Middle East. But that said, these troops often get deployed from different states and different units around the world to supplement military missions. Now, this is where it gets shitty. What do we know about the Army as of late? They're not meeting their recruiting goals. So they're understaffed. They're shorthanded. What does that mean? It means look the fuck out. Our military cannot fulfill its missions and be mission ready for combat. And it should be combat to serve actual legitimate interests of the people of the United States of America, not the national security interest of Washington, D.C. That's another subject. So I think we should expect, Mr. Uman, more National Guard troops leaving states and supplementing Army, National Guard, and the Army, regular Army around the planet. There's 270 odd bases all over the place. Yeah, but don't protect our borders. Now, I don't know if the governor of Illinois, Prickster, had anything to do with this decision, but this is what we got. Expect more of it. The Navy, the same story. Maybe the Navy needs a Navy National Guard. The U.S. Navy can't meet their recruiting goals. I guess this diversity, equity, inclusion, and transgender military is a real success story. Good golly. All right. Thank you, Mr. Uman. We've got chin music. Oh, shit. I guess I need to sing this. Sodomy and bribery live together in perfect harmony. Yep. Only in D.C. I wish I could say that was true. And this only was a problem in D.C. But I'm willing to bet, Mr. Music, that it exists in states like California, New York, the state of Washington, Oregon, Illinois, and other state capitals where sodomy and bribery are good buddies. And I almost sang Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo's version of Ebony and Ivory. Wow. I think Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney sang that back in the early 80s. But Eddie Murphy played he played the part of Stevie Wonder, and Joe Piscopo played the part of Frank Sinatra in their skit singing Ebony and Ivory. And I'm this close to singing it because it is a parody song and it's kind of funny. But by today's standards, it would be outrageous. Yeah. Uman, do you know the song? Yep. See, I wasn't prepared, Chin Music. I wasn't prepared, or I could have it play. But yeah, if you want to hear that, do Joe Piscopo and Ebony and Ivory, Saturday Night Live, back when Saturday Night Live was funny. All right, let's go from here. Thank you, Chin Music, and allowing me to test my singing voice. Name Redacted steps in and says, hey, John, you should put out there you're looking to interview a life insurance company actuary on the topic. Have you ever talked to a life insurance actuary? Name Redacted. I, years ago, back in 2003 or 4, I was in Vegas at a convention. I met the CEO of California Blue Cross Insurance Company, and we actually had a discussion about actuary tables. You want to talk about mind numbing? I can barely read the statistics and wouldn't give a shit, except they have to do with us being killed. Otherwise, I wouldn't quote their statistics. Anyways, I mean, tell you what, Name, you do it. Get back to me with your results, and I will. I'll definitely read them. But I know what you're saying. I would like to know what the actual numbers are. The actual numbers, not the bullshit numbers. Not right. He didn't die from that. He didn't die from the Jim Jones juice. No. Right. He had a heart attack. His lungs were full of fluid. He had an aneurysm and his fucking eyeball shot out of his head. But, natural causes. All right, let us continue. Good golly. Name Redacted said, Jim Jones is what happened when desperate people are looking for a human savior. That's correct. Jim Jones. Now, understand, folks, back in the 1970s, what was going on in this country? Yeah, times were rough. We got out of the Vietnam War and government was corrupt. And there was Nixon who, good God, Nixon had 3 or 4 guys break into an office looking for information on his opponent. Oh, no, heaven forbid. We can't trust government. Oh, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to Watergate. Are you fucking kidding me? Watergate is not even a Sunday walk in the park. Since then, we've seen some crazy shit and continue. Like Biden pulling us out of Afghanistan, leaving Marines and soldiers dead, abandoning American citizens by the tens of thousands. Oh, that's a yawner. Not quite. That's treason. So, yeah, I mean, if they were looking for a human savior in the 1970s, what would they be doing today? So I understand, right? A lot of people, they don't know who to turn to or where. So they look to a human savior. And humans, when they are provided with trust, authority, and power over other people's lives, what do they turn into? Those charismatic leaders turn into dictators, murderers. That's what government does. We give government authority. They take that power and they fuck us with it. Human saviors are not our solution, folks. The best we can hope from humans is to find leadership, but not a savior. I think what's the term, Uman? Salvation lies within. All right, let us move on. Thank you, Name Redacted. Barking Wolf Spider says the most capable hand is the one at the end of your own arm. And remember, folks, you and I should be doing good deeds because idle hands are the devil's toys. So, oh, good golly. Yep. Don't be idle. Be busy. Do what you can. Nikki says, is that a man thing? Is what a man thing? Oh, the one at the end of your own arm. Well, by golly, it is, but it works for women too, Nikki. All righty, let us continue. Rough crowd. Hey, rough crowd. Uman has a contrarian view. Aha! He says, if we hold the bomb manufacturer liable for the actions of the ones who use them, wouldn't that be like holding gun manufacturers liable for crimes committed with their firearms? Now, I don't think, and I love this topic, and we're back here. We're back in that room about Iran and bombs. It is not the bomb manufacturer in Iran who is going to be bombed for the Iranian bomb that was provided to warriors in Jordan that was used to kill American soldiers. It's not the bomb manufacturer. But if we take American liberal thinking, you are absolutely correct. It is not Iran, the country, because government is always good. It is the bomb manufacturer who should be held liable. Jesus. Yeah, it is. I mean, if a gun, right, sits there, nothing happens. It is when it is used that, ammunition is expelled from the end of the barrel. It is fired. And if people get hurt, it is because a person did it, right? But the liberals want to sue the gun manufacturers. They want to say the gun manufacturers are liable how a product is used. Well, we are not authorized to kill other people, right? Your neighbors, your friends, family. So it is a misuse of a firearm to shoot someone else, except in the act of self-defense of oneself or other. So the same lawsuit could be applied to a car manufacturer. You run over somebody, you should sue Ford. Ford, your car ran that person over. And the Ford's going to go, hey, no one's supposed to run anyone over. The vehicle was being misused. That's why there was an accident and someone died. I don't know why these lawyers can't make that fucking case any easier than that. I would be a deadly fucking lawyer if I'd finished law school. Now, except I got kicked out. Man, did I tell you I got kicked out of law school? They found out my parents were married before I was born. Kicked my ass right out. They said, what? You're not a bastard. Get the fuck out of here, man. Lawyers, folks. Lawyers. Back in the 90s, late 1990s, I was in Lodi, California. And I stopped at this place called Fred's Puffin Stuff to buy a stogie. And I went next door into the private smoking club because in order to fucking smoke a cigar, even back then, it had to be a private club. So I paid my $1 lifetime membership fee, went in, ordered a beer, and had, trying to remember the girl's name, Sophia, liked the fucking cigar, handed it back to me, and I began puffing on it. And these two other guys came in. Right across the street, by the way, was a courthouse. And these two fucking guys are talking to me, and we're going over a bunch of shit. And I said, what do you guys do for a living? They didn't want to admit it. They did not want to admit what they did for a living. They finally said, we're lawyers. They were fucking ashamed. Now, I don't know if because they figured I just left the courthouse, lost a lawsuit, and wanted to kill somebody whose profession started with L. I don't know. It could have been. Anyways, we had a discussion about law and the type of law that I was practicing as a paralegal. It was a nice discussion. I did not accept their cards or their offer to go work for them. All right. Pow. Nice topic, Mr. Ooman. Well done. Okie dokie. I am now going to finish up the show with some more of the shit I've got on my plate. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, Mr. Ooman. February is Earthquake Awareness Month in Illinois. Folks, I lived in California. We didn't even have Earthquake Awareness Month in California. And wait a minute. I thought February, not Friday. I thought February was Black History Month. Isn't it Black History Month? Ooman shaking his head, yes. It is Black History Month. And I want everyone who is of African American descent to rejoice in the year 2024. You get an extra day. It is leap year, 29 whole days. Now, what cracked me up is I think it was Chris Rock years ago made a joke. He's like, we got screwed again, man. We got screwed again. Right? They give us the month with the least amount of days. 28 days in February. I thought that was a funny thing. Gotta love humor. Oh, yeah. And Chris Rock was the guy who said, you need to learn some important lessons, right? He did that skit called How Not to Get Your Ass Kicked by the Police. Still on YouTube, last I checked. How to not get your ass kicked by the police. This is if you're a Black person. How not to do it, right? Get a white friend. Stuff like that. It was fucking hilarious. Turn that shit off on the music. Be polite. Good stuff there. I practice all the things Chris Rock taught, and I'm someone who exudes white privilege, according to many losers. All right, Mr. Ooman, I've got more for you, man. You hang tight. Hang tight. This is important. I'm going to go back to being serious now. No more funny shit. Damn it. In London, not London, Pennsylvania, London, England, 9 people, folks, were hospitalized, sent to the hospital. The attack that was committed was an acid attack, suspected acid attack. 9 people were hospitalized because, and these were 9 people. They targeted a woman and her 2 children. And this woman and her 2 children, as well as 6 other people, were hospitalized because of an acid attack. Do you know what an acid attack is? Well, in a lot of third world shit nations around the world, if you are a woman suspected of cheating, suspected of being a whore or someone of loose moral virtue, they can throw acid on your face, burn you, so that you will not be appealing to look at. Of course, that can take out your eyes, permanently affect sinuses and breathing. Acid attack. 9 people hurt because one woman and her 2 children were targeted. This is how radical third world religious fruitcakes behave. And what are we bringing into our country right now? That's right. Radical third world fruitcakes and their religious bullshit. Good God. I mean, listen, when you finally sit down and you're like, okay, those Jehovah's Witnesses come to my house and they knock on the door. They don't come and knock on the bunker, folks. But let's see, the Mormons. Let's see, who else comes and knocks on your door, oh man? Any of them. Hey, Church of Scientology. Hey, Baptist. I don't know. Candygram, Land Shark, right? At least they go away when you're done talking to them, if you talk to them. But these other people, they'll just throw acid in your fucking face or cut your head off. I think I prefer the more gentle Christian cults than the Far East ones. All right. We've got more, folks. We've got more. Good golly. The Jihad Squad member, Baldy, Ayanna Presley, is still bald and is still accusing Walgreens of racial discrimination because they're shutting down stores. Now, the reason I recounted this with you is because an alleged exchange took place between California's Governor Gavin Gruesome Newsom and a worker at a Target store. And apparently someone stole several items and ran out the door in the governor's presence. And so the governor asked, why isn't someone stopping him? And apparently the checkout girl decided to give him an earful about how shitty the governor was and that he did a bad job. And I don't believe this story for a second. It actually sounds like a propaganda photo op bullshit story, because Governor Newsom explained to the young lady how California had the 10th most aggressive anti-crime stance. Do you believe that for a fucking second? Well, what he claimed is that if you steal more than $950, that's a felony. And then he tried blaming companies for having a don't stop criminals policy because people get hurt or killed that way. Well, this is the world we live in, folks. This is the world we live in. Well, does anyone know who Victoria Nuland is? She is the woman who wanted the Maidan revolution, color revolution in Ukraine back in 2014, where civilians were killed in a military takeover in Ukraine, which later installed, of course, Zelensky. She's also responsible, folks, for continuously pushing Putin until he invaded Ukraine to liberate the eastern side and the Russian people. Interesting shit going down, folks. Anyway, Steve Bannon of the former Trump administration said he would be shocked if there are no criminal referrals for Victoria Nuland and others and what they've done in other countries. They also caused Pakistan to oust its elected representative, its president, its leader. The people, folks, in charge of this government are so corrupt, they will start a war in any country that they can get away with. They'll either do it sneaky behind the scenes or they'll come out and try and justify it. What will they do to us if they decide we're the enemy? What would they do to us? By the way, we've got just 2 minutes left. I want to remind everyone that Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor was traumatized by the conservative rulings from Republicans on the Supreme Court. Remember, folks, freedom hurts the evil people. It hurts them. And they are going to do everything they can to hurt us. Ooh, man, anything more, or shall I depart? Off we go, folks. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. It's a very important question, bigger and more important than ever. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. Go to thepreparedmind.club. That one right there for your prepping needs, and become a premium member to help support this channel, the spreading of patriotic and freedom, shall we say, articles, reports, and satire. In fact, today I felt particularly like a smartass. But as I said to my teacher in 6th grade, better to be a smartass than a dumbass. And John, you have detention. Godspeed, God bless America, and I'll see you guys soon, as in 0 Dark 30 tomorrow.